So the weather wasn't the only stormy thing this weekend in the U.S. A week before the Iowa caucus, the U.S. presidential campaigns are gaining momentum, too. The dramatic announcement of the weekend, former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg's potential independent White House run. The billionaire's revelation that he is laying the groundwork for a run that he could launch should Democratic frontrunner Hillary Clinton falter sent shockwaves ripping through the entire presidential field. The reactions to the announcement were mixed, with many on both sides questioning the need for another wealthy tycoon to enter the race. But this weekend was also one of high-profile endorsements, inter-party bickering, and some swings in the polls, with Donald Trump keeping his dominance across media and the polls. The following report has the latest.
Donald Trump kicking off his Sunday on the campaign trail right here in an Iowa church. And he ended it with a rally surrounded by 2,000 supporters.
So this is crunch time.
And one protester. The man in the red turban interrupted Trump as he spoke about terrorism.
Bye.
Security escorting the man out, the crowd went wild. And from Trump?
He wasn't wearing one of those hats, was he? Was he wearing one of those hats? And he never will.
That double-digit lead largely due to first-time caucus goers backing the brash billionaire, like the young family I met today. We're going to caucus for Donald Trump.
We are.
First time.
First time.
First time.
Why?
He's relatable.
He's not the politician you see every year running, whatever. He wants change for
Something different about him. Not scripted.
His GOP rivals still hoping for a victory of their own.
Voters here take their vote very seriously.
Wow!
It was Texas Senator Ted Cruz's younger personality on full display in this new clip posted on YouTube.
What I want to do in life.
The lanky teenager talking about his life goals seems to know exactly what he wants.
Take over the world, world domination, rule everything, rich, powerful, that sort of stuff.
Dominating the airwaves overnight.
I wanted to take a break from my full-time career of writing things on Facebook.
SNL's version of Trump and Sarah Palin, played by none other than Tina Fey.
Right-winging, bitter, clinging, proud clingers of our guns.
And with me in studio is Professor Eitan Gilboa, an expert on U.S. politics from Bar Ilan University. Thank you for being with us this morning.
It's my pleasure.
And also Y24 News U.S. political analyst and host of The Road to the White House, Ami Kaufman. We've already heard from you for some viral videos, but we'll come to you for some politics as well. But first, we are joined via Skype from Iowa by journalist Ben Grant. Thank you for being with us, Ben.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So I want to talk about these polls that were released in the past few days by CNN. And there's kind of a catch because only half of all likely caucus goers are completely decided on a candidate. So it really could swing either way. So the race could be neck and neck. And this means that both Trump and Sanders will have to turn out new caucus goers in order to win Iowa. How do they do that?
Well, I think that's always the name of the game in the Iowa caucus is the challenge is how do you go beyond the hardcore activists who are already going to show up every 4 years and really kind of expand the electorate? And it seems like every election cycle, different insurgent-style candidates like Trump or Sanders say that they're going to be able to do that and get new people out to the caucus, but it's not always as easy to make it a reality. I think one of the underrated aspects of the Iowa caucuses that's incredibly important is the ground game. Door-to-door canvassing, knocking on doors, organizing in the communities, working with community groups, and just doing the kind of one-to-one individual retail politics that's so important to the Iowa caucuses. It's not all about buying TV ads. It's not all about the airwaves. It's more about putting people on the ground and going door-to-door and building relationships one person at a time.
So comparing Trump and Cruz then in this case, Cruz has been said to have a more traditional approach to campaigning. But what has Trump been doing in particular that has launched him so far forward in Iowa?
Well, I think Donald Trump is appealing to a certain subset of the electorate, people who are very frustrated with certain realities of life in America in the 21st century. And the question is, are the types of voters who are responding to some of the more divisive and inflammatory rhetoric, and frankly, what a lot of people would say as being racist and irresponsible rhetoric from Donald Trump, are these same people going to actually show up to the Iowa caucus? And I just don't know if it's going to happen. I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical that Donald Trump is actually a successful political campaign builder. He's obviously very good at getting media attention, but I don't know if that actually adds up to people showing up on a Monday night in Iowa to stand for him at the caucus.
Well, Ben Grant, thank you so much for joining us. Well, this evening, your time from Iowa. And also joining us on the phone now is Mark Zell of the Republicans Abroad in Israel, co-chair of that organization. Thank you for being with us.
Good to be here. I'm standing in the rain at the American consulate, hoping for the day when a presidential candidate or president will move the embassy to Jerusalem.
I see. Well, thank you for being with us, Mark. So we were hearing there from journalist Ben Grant in Iowa about the campaign tactics of, let's talk about Trump and Cruz. We're going to speak Republican stuff with you.
Okay.
So, you know, I want to talk about Trump. He has been a bully. I'm just going to say that outright. Have his latest attacks on Cruz worked in the early voting state of Iowa?
Well, I think the polling results show that they have, but I must compliment your previous speaker because he's one of the first times I've actually heard a journalist here on I-24 accurately point out the dynamics of the Iowa primary. I mean, the lack of, or the question of whether Trump has a ground game is really the big question, and that applies to Cruz as well. A lot of people are also looking at Marco Rubio, who's in a strong position in third place, and that will also be a factor in what's called momentum in going into the New Hampshire primary. So anyway, so far Trump's attacks on Cruz seem to have had some results on the polls, but we'll see what happens in the ground game. That's the ultimate determinant.
And, you know, I want to pick your brain a little bit. Which Republican candidate at this point do you think would be best for Israel?
In my view, personal view now, not as an organizational view, I make that clear, Marco Rubio.
Marco Rubio, you think would be. Well,
yeah.
Mark, thank you very much for joining us this morning. A cold, rainy morning from Tel Aviv. We do appreciate it. And so, Professor Gabor, we'll come to you. Let's talk about the Democrats. Let's see. Sanders could be leading in the polls in Iowa, and Bloomberg sees an in there, doesn't he?
Yes. Apparently, Bloomberg feels that the list of Democratic and Republican presidential candidates is not impressive. And he feels that maybe a third candidate can come in. This is a very surprising decision because in American history, there has never been an independent candidate who was able to win the elections. He has a lot of money to spend.
Right.
He is setting up the mechanism now because it takes time to establish and prepare for a presidential primaries campaign or campaign in general. And so he will make the decision only in March, after a number of primaries had been already decided. And he will then see. He said that he will come into the race only if Bernie Sanders is leading in the Democratic Party and Donald Trump is leading in the Republican race.
So why are these his conditions?
Probably because he thinks that of all the candidates, Hillary Clinton is the most qualified, because he did not say that if Clinton would be leading, then he would come into the race. It seems that in terms of American politics and the Middle East and Israel, he would be the best president, because he is more experienced. He knows what's going on, especially in Israel and the Middle East. He visited here in times of terror. He is very well connected to Israel. So I think of all the candidates, Israel would have liked to see him in the White House.
Well, he does seem pretty confident. Let's go back to that announcement by Bloomberg that you just mentioned and the reactions to it. The following report has the details.
The controversial remark this time came in the form of a brag.
I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible.
Tonight, Donald Trump in Iowa under fire once again.
I will let Donald speak for himself. I can say I have no intention of shooting anybody in this campaign.
But the brash billionaire may not be the only billionaire in the race for long. ABC News confirming former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg is contemplating mounting a third-party run. Despite repeated promises that he would not enter the race, Bloomberg recently instructed advisors to draw up plans to run as an independent. Trump telling George Stephanopoulos last week he would welcome a Bloomberg bid.
I would love to have Michael join the race. First of all, he's a friend of mine. He's a great guy. I'd love to, because he would be, I think, take a lot of votes away from Hillary, if it's going to be Hillary.
The former mayor reportedly troubled by all of the frontrunners, from Trump on the right to Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders on the left. Trump's rival at the moment, Ted Cruz, also in the Hawkeye state, raking in a big endorsement from conservative media personality Glenn Beck.
If Donald Trump wins, it's going to be a snowball to hell.
But the biggest battle du jour over a Jeb Bush video featuring his mother.
Jeb has real solutions.
Trump taking to Twitter, writing, "Just watch Jeb's ad where he desperately needed mommy to help him. Jeb, mom can't help you with ISIS, the Chinese, or with Putin." Bush firing back with this picture, and today,
be careful, Donald.
A mom war warning.
If you know my mom, I'm putting my money on Barbara Bush on that one.
So entertaining, all of these comments that come out at this time, all the claws come out. So, I mean, Bloomberg really might have a chance if it ends up being Sanders and Trump.
I don't know if he has a chance. I want to actually kind of reinforce what Professor Eitan Gilboa said before about an independent candidate who has never won an election. I want to just add that an independent candidate has also never carried a state in the electoral college. So the odds are really, the electoral college really puts it, it's a huge obstacle for an independent candidate. It's really, really rough. But I think what it says more is that Michael Bloomberg, he smells blood. He smells weakness on the part of Hillary Clinton. And he also smells that the GOP, if Donald Trump is nominated, if he clinches this nomination, there will be a lot of unhappy GOP voters that he can take to his camp. A lot of, I would call, sane people who will not vote for Donald Trump. And lastly, what I want to say about the Iowa caucuses, why I think they're really important, but they're also very hard to predict. It's important to remember that caucusing is so much different than going to a primary vote and just and spending, you say I'll go in my lunch hour or after my work and just go put a vote. You caucus for a good few hours in the evening. Usually, you have to commit. It is a commitment, and a lot of people do not always do that. And a lot of people that are being polled say that they're going, but they're not going to go in the last minute. Which is why it's important that what that reporter said. Donald Trump does not necessarily have a great presence on the ground. Ted Cruz, from what I understand, has a very good control of the ground in Iowa, and his campaign is very well organized. His campaign is headquarters, so we're going to have to see how that plays out. Yeah, even though some analysts have said that Trump's, his supporters have been waiting for hours in line just for his rallies, so perhaps they will turn out for the caucuses. Very good point. We don't know this, but final remarks, Professor Gilboa, about Iowa and about New Hampshire coming up.
Yes, first I want to say that Michael Bloomberg is a very careful both businessman and a politician with experience. He will enter the race only if he will find enough support for his candidacy, and this is going to happen in March. The primaries in Iowa and New Hampshire are critical, especially for the front runners, both in terms of voters' confidence and fundraising. Trump has his own money, so he does not depend on anybody. We remember very well that in 2008, Obama won major surprising victories in both Iowa and New Hampshire and went on to win the nomination of the Democratic Party. So these two primaries are crucial for both Trump and Hillary Clinton. Clinton does not want to repeat this failures of 2008.
Certainly. Well, it is an exciting time right now. Thank you very much for being with us this morning, Professor Gilboa.